Hey, we're back, Chubbies. And we got our boy Brian Ross. Brian, well, this is what the whole podcast is about. What am I supposed to call you?
I prefer Taylor.
Brian Taylor. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Taylor. This is going to be a good one. I have been excited. This all started, what, a year ago? 2 years ago? Probably 2 years ago.
Well, it's been over 2 years now, 2020.
I was at the Office Commons whenever we first started talking about this.
Yep.
So, well, first of all, I mean, how long, you and I have known each other. You and I have known each other for probably, let's see, you're 41.
Yep.
I'll be 42 Wednesday. And so I'd say we have known each other for 35 of those.
Oh, yeah, I'd say so.
Now, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm better than Cousin David. I know you grew up with him, but let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm the better Gillum of the bunch. Go ahead and tell him that, too.
As you say, will he be listening?
Oh, yeah. He'll tune in.
I mean, you're putting me in a weird spot, but we'll go with it right now.
Oh, wow. Damn it, Brian. Damn it. But, so, how you want me to kick this thing off, I guess, so this started with you have found your real father, I guess. Yep. I guess we can say that now, right?
Yeah, biological father.
Biological father, and you were how old whenever you did this?
Bought a DNA test in October of 2020.
So you'd have been 38.
38, yep. And it was a birthday gift for my brother. Bought him one, bought me one. And what a surprise.
You both. Why did you buy a DNA test? You've told me this.
So we've always talked about trying to find family. We didn't have a lot of family in Jackson. Didn't really know where all they were at. So we thought, well, we'll do this one day. And plus, we'd always kind of joked that I didn't really fit in.
You didn't look like the other two.
Nope, I didn't look and didn't even have a lot of the same mannerisms or just features and hobbies, I guess you could say.
Let me hear you. Let me hear you vibrating. One of us.
I put mine down here.
Oh, yeah. Must have been me. My bad.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. So she didn't have the same mannerisms. Mm-hmm. Okay, give me an example.
So they were both very quiet, reserved people to where I would just talk to anybody. It didn't matter.
No, I would say it about you.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy talking to people, not really them. Now, once you get them talking, they're fine. And then, ironically, my biological dad is a big talker. I mean, he'll go on forever.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so you got the Ancestry.com. Okay, so had you thought all these years that maybe something was off?
Yeah, definitely.
What age did that start?
Probably high school.
High school?
Yeah. Just that feeling of, again, just almost not belonging, if that makes sense, or that I didn't quite fit in. So always talked about doing it, never did it. Always had a reason why we didn't do it,
So you talked about Ancestry.com?
Yeah, and we actually started off with a 23andMe, and we got this.
What's that?
So it's just another company.
Okay.
And, you just buy the home kit, do it from home, send it in. It's real simple. But when we got the results back on that, I immediately went to Ancestry DNA and was like, I got to have another test, right? Like this can't be right.
So you go to 23. So what? 23andMe?
Yeah, 23andMe.
23andMe. So does it come back that says, hey, you're only half this guy's brother?
Yep. So he calls me. I'm at work, and he said, you need to sit down. I said, why? I said, I'm working. What's going on? And he said, we're half brothers. And I said, funny.
Your brother tells you this.
Yeah, and we'd always picked at each other, so I thought, real funny. He said, no, log into your app and look. Logged in, and sure enough, we were half brothers.
What does it say?
So it gives you what's called a Centimorgan rating. It's how much DNA you match. And I'm probably going to botch that. I'm not an expert, I've kind of studied the last couple of years. But and it gives you your title. So it said we're half siblings. It said we share
half. So it actually deems you like a half.
Yep, and it will tell you share the same mother, you do not share the same father. So me being me, I called the place. I find the support number and I call them and I said, hey, I think your test is broken. And they said, how do you figure? And I tell them and they said, no, that's not possible. It's right. So I immediately order the second test, same results. So we're like, okay, this is real.
How long a period is this, Brian?
So it takes a few months to get them back.
What are you doing in this couple months, dude?
Yeah.
I've known you forever,
Yep.
and you're like the sweetest guy on the planet. But so I could just imagine that you were just freaking out inside.
Complete freaking out. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, led a fairly large team at the time, so trying to act like everything was good at work. Not telling the kids a thing, right? Again, everything is fine, but not true, right?
Yeah. How's your blood pressure?
Yeah, right.
And all this
it was not good.
Was it really? I mean, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you experience like real health stuff?
Complete, yeah. Put on a lot of extra weight, blood pressure, you name it. The stress was unfortunately legit.
Simply because of this test.
Yeah, simply because of this test. And
now, was this stress like you had like in high school, not belonging, or was this like?
It made it real. I mean, it was finally there, right? It was real, and it was just shocking, I guess you could say. And then unfortunately, so there's a paternal, right? Paternal's father.
Yeah.
My paternal matches was very low. So the highest match I had was a second cousin, who I didn't know.
So does that mean that they've had to have done this test?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you have to do the test.
A second cousin.
Yep, second cousin. She ended up living in Northern Ohio.
Okay.
I message her. Of course, she doesn't know who I am because you can message on the app, like Facebook, basically. And she has no clue who I am. I tell her my situation, and she says, I have no clue who he'd be. Second cousins, right? So at that point, I'm like, what do you do? I had no idea what to do.
And you tell her, hey, we're second cousins.
Yeah, and she sees it in the app. We're second cousins, and at that point, it was a lot of months of just trying to figure out, and again, it's not like you walk into a store in Jackson somewhere and they say, hey, we can help you with this, right? Like, they don't exist. And I wasn't getting answers anywhere else. And at that point, my sister, who had passed, she did take a
Susie.
test. Yeah, she took a
Susie.
test. And same thing. She was my half sibling, of course.
What'd she say?
She was pretty shocked. I mean, we all were, right? I mean, again, we'd all joked about it, but again, now it's really there, right?
Yeah.
It's DNA, it doesn't lie, right? So yeah, she was pretty shocked when I told her, but I didn't tell her.
I'd be upset. I mean, you guys are close.
Yeah, I would be lying if I didn't say there was a lot of tears, honestly. And I'm not.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of tears, a lot of upset nights. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember whenever you first told me. Had you actually met your biological dad yet? Whenever you told me.
Nope. No, I had not. No, at that point I was still searching.
Yeah, and I can remember that day at the office. I mean, it got pretty deep whenever you were telling me about this. I mean, because you were like. You were astounded. I don't know if that's the right word, but you were just like so like relieved in a way, but also like shocks on what to come. Yeah.
Well, and it's if you try to think about it, it's a weird feeling to not know who your dad is, and going again 38 years old and all of a sudden not know that was just mind blowing. I mean, I just couldn't even explain it,
You're starting to challenge yourself.
Oh,
probably.
Everything,
dude.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Everything.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it's, I hate to say it, but yeah, everything. The last 38 years of my life,
What was it?
Yeah, completely. Who am I?
Well, that's who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Chubbies. When was the last time you had somebody take a look at your life insurance? It's something that nobody likes to talk about. But one thing I know about Pudge is he's coming to your funeral. You might as well have him show up with a check and take care of those loved ones. That's the time when they need it the most. He's writing it every day. Come have that conversation with him and get it done. And by the way, if you own a business and you haven't let Pudge quote your commercial insurance, you're making a mistake. Let him check it out. Make sure you got proper coverage for the best value on the market. Gillum Insurance for all your insurance needs. 740-395-0190.
So again, they don't prepare you for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot. And again, trying to, and you're a dad, you understand this. Trying to put on that normal face, everything's okay. It wasn't easy, for a lot of months. And I had searched everywhere and actually ended up finding two people who were local, who just kind of dabbled on the side DNA, and they both were willing to help me.
How do you dabble in DNA?
So day job, and then go home in the evening, and they learn how to connect people.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So
For a fee?
the two people who were helping me was absolutely free.
And they're local.
Yeah, they're local people.
Jackson people.
Jackson people. Yep.
Did you know them?
The one I did, I grew up with her. Yeah, it blew my mind. And similar situation. That's why she was so willing to jump in and help.
Oh, I bet she helped you like it wasn't nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
She tried her best. She really did. What I found out later was I think I told you earlier, second cousin. So you're talking needle in a haystack at that point. A very low match means you don't have a lot to go off with, right? I mean, your best case scenario is that your biological father took a test, but in my case, he didn't. So there wasn't much to go off of at all. So she really struggled, and so did the other woman who was helping.
Okay. So walk me through here. How's this go?
Well,
You door knocking?
yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah.
That fall night of 1981.
Yeah. Almost, honestly. I mean, yeah, I did. I reached out to some people who I thought knew my family well enough who might know something. And everybody else had the same face. You got to be kidding me. And no, this is real. Would you happen to know? No, I have no idea.
Nobody wants to open that can of worms.
Yeah, but at that point, that tells you how desperate I was. I mean, I was.
Yeah, because, dude, I know you, and I mean, you are the least assertive person probably ever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I can't even, for you to be asking people had to have just been so far out of your comfort zone.
It was. And again, it was one of those things where, well, up until now, right? Like, I didn't even say much about it because I just tried to keep it quiet. I mean, not really quiet, but just it's not something it was real comfortable talking about.
Sure.
But yeah, so they searched and searched for me. They tried their best. They really did.
How long?
It was several months. And every day when you do these tests, there's the apps on your phone, and you'll get a notification. Probably once a month, maybe twice a month. And what it is, it's new people who took them and they match them to you. Every time that thing went off, I was like, okay, this is it. And it never was. It was always second, third, fourth, fifth cousins every time. So that was kind of depressing too, right? Like you'd open up thinking this is going to be the day, and it wasn't. So February 13th is when my sister passed unexpectedly.
Of 21?
Yeah, 21. And at that point, her birthday was the very next day. And at that point, still had no idea who he was, or even, again, where I belonged. And I'd probably hit the lowest I think I'd ever hit my whole life. Well, I know I did.
Yeah, especially when your sister.
Yeah. I lost my sister. I didn't know who my dad was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I'd never been in that shape.
Yeah.
And again, trying to keep a
family of 4.
And
Job, high title job,
Yeah.
high stress job.
Well, and at that point, I had become the director,
Mhm.
and inside, I'm not happy at all, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really not, but I mean, I'm happy for the job. But
You're wanting to celebrate, and this should be a
Yeah.
monumental time in your life, but it's
Yeah.
one of your all-time lows.
Absolutely, all-time lows. And so several, I'd say it's probably, I might mess this up, probably about 2 months after Susan had passed. And again, I would literally just didn't know where else to go. The people who were helping me were trying their best, but they weren't getting anywhere, and no resources I could find anywhere. So my wife had went to my sister's grave. I don't know why, but she decided to go there, and she's talking to my sister, and she's telling her, hey, I've never seen your brother this way. He's absolutely
Having a
at the lowest.
spiritual moment here with your sister.
Yeah. And I didn't know.
Mhm.
And she wasn't going to tell me. And she told him, or she said, if you can hear me, help us. He needs your help. So, and ironically, that same day, I'm.
This is going to get. No, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this, Brian.
Most people don't. I had pulled up my phone and I had Googled this same thing thousands of times, how to find a missing relative or how to find your father. And I happened to run across this really old, like a blog, and they were talking about people who trying to find their parents on there, their moms or dads or whatever. And there was a guy on there who said that he found his. And I mean, this thing was probably from like 18. So I thought, I'll give it a shot. So I messaged the guy and I said, hey, how did you do it? And I kid you not, 2 minutes later, my phone goes off. I'm like, no way. And it was the guy. And he says to me, you need to contact a company called Right to Know. I thought, okay. So I go to their website. There's a place to message. And I message them. And that night, a really nice woman out of Seattle named Alicia messages me and wants to know my story. So I tell her my story. And she goes, can I call you? I was like, sure. So I'm pacing in my driveway because, again, my kids know nothing about this. Talking to this woman who I don't know. And she tells me, she says, there's a company called DNA Angels, and that's all they do. And she said, they don't want your money. They just want to help you. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, right? Like, in today's time, like, what's the catch, right? Like, and I hate to be that way, but what's the catch? Is this a scam? Whatever. And we talked for a while, and she ended up being amazing. Not only did she connect me to them, but she also got me resources for people who were just like me, who, you know, weren't in this area, right? Like, so people to talk to, or groups even. I mean, it was crazy.
Therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because most of your people around here wouldn't specialize in that.
You can only talk to your buddies about that.
Yeah.
So much.
Exactly. And again, you go to hang out with buddies. Nobody wants to hear that. You know, it's kind of, it was a down story at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It wasn't. I was happy for you, but it wasn't a down story, but it was a whoa. Yeah. That's deep.
Yeah, very deep. Yeah,
This is deep, Brian.
I mean, let's go and look at it. Yeah. So she tells me she's gonna drop my name to him. And I'm thinking, again, we'll see, you know, so I don't get too excited. And the next day, sure enough, DNA Angels reach out to me. And same thing, they want to talk to me over the phone. I thought you were going to ask me something. Okay. And she says to me, she's very upfront. She said, I will be 100% honest with you. We have a lot of cases. She said, you have the lowest matches out of everybody. She said, you're on the bottom.
Oh, wow.
She said, it's probably going to be a long time. And she said, and even then, we can't promise you anything. I thought, man, you know, so it was kind of like
deflate.
Up, down. Yeah, yeah. So just couldn't believe it, you know. So a little bit of hope, it was gone so quickly. So the very next day, I get a call from a lady, her name's Kelly Grace, and she lives in Georgia. And she says, I don't know why, but she said they're allowed to cherry pick cases. And she said, I looked at your case and thought, oh, no. And she goes, but something told me to grab it, so I did. So she said, I'm your angel. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, this is amazing. I said, you're going to work the case now? And she said, yeah, I'm going to work it now. She said, but to be honest, it's going to be really hard. She said, you don't have very many matches. So at that point, they throw me into literally a Facebook group chat. And they would ask me random questions, and they would just work back and forth. You know, do you know this person? Does this name ring a bell? Would your mom have been in this area during this time? You know, a lot of things I didn't know the answers to, though.
Yeah, you're not born.
No, yeah, and I had no clue. Again, I'm questioning everything at this point.
Nor is there like a Facebook thing back then that you could attract them by.
Yeah.
You know, what was they doing?
Posting. Yeah. Back then, right, people were they weren't tracking anything.
Yeah.
Not like it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Chubby's, hey, you know, we all know this guy, all the folks over at AP Prep. We cannot thank you enough. Look those guys up at apprep.info. We get asked all the time, hey, what happens? How do you get over there? Hey, that's how you do it. You get on apprep.info, you look them up, you set a time for your kid's assessment. They schedule a time, you bring your kid over there, boom, it's done. They get you right in the schedule. And hey, for all you adults, you just show up on Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday night at 5:30, and they got their boxing classes. It's $10, or you can join by the month. So look them up at apprep.info.
That night I went to bed, I had hope though, right? I'm like, okay, this might work. The next day I'm at work, and that chat message starts popping, going crazy, and they're back. They're messaging me, and they tell me, they said, you know, we're working your case for you. And I said, okay, this is great.
No charge.
No charge at all. Wouldn't even begin to accept anything, they said. And that night, about 11 p.m., I and had to work the next morning. Kelly messaged me and she says, "Congratulations, you're a tailor." And I'm like, "What?" So I immediately start thinking of tailors that I know, right?
You and Jake's brothers.
Yeah. Right.
Jake, I hope you hear this.
I'm like, whoa.
Did you think Jake?
Well, yeah, I immediately thought of Jake because I grew up with Jake. Right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but,
It's not Jake.
no,
ladies
it's
and
not.
gentlemen.
Yeah, it's not Jake at all. We're not even related.
Yeah.
That'd be cool though. Jake's a good guy. But yeah, so I couldn't sleep that night, right? Like, there's no way.
Oh,
It's 1
yeah.
o'clock at night. I got to be up early.
You're
in the morning.
Facebooking every tailor on
We
Facebook.
are. Yeah, we are. I mean,
Does he look like me?
Yeah.
Does he? Is that what you're doing? At this?
you're not far off. You're really not. Like,
You and I just sit there in bed,
Yep.
just
oh, she would all the time. She'd hold it up, and it was hilarious. I mean, because she was like investigation mode at that point, right?
yeah.
But yeah, there was no way we go to sleep that night, and then they kicked it off because they're like, "Well, we got to go to bed too," and I'm like, "I understand. I understand." So
The people you were talking to, the angels.
Yep, the angels. Yeah. So next day I'm back to work, and it starts again about 9 a.m. And by 10:30 a.m. they said, "Congratulations, you have another brother." So now at this point, I'm literally like sobbing at work, and I have to literally excuse myself because work doesn't know about any of this. And about 5 minutes after that, they say you also have another sister. Now that one got me.
Because you just lost.
Just lost my sister, right? And like, how many times in life do you get a chance to have another sibling after losing one? Now I got 2 more. So yeah, that one got me. And at that point, I went out to my car for a bit, honestly. So the emotional roller coaster's back,
But in a good way.
in a good way this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm blowing up Ashley and all the family that knows about. I'm like, "You're not going to believe this."
Your brother.
Oh yeah. I said, "Mike," I have 2 other siblings. This is crazy. And,
Where's Mike's headspace at this point? Where's your brother's headspace?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because this is how. So from start to now, or not now, but from start to then, how long are we into this? A year?
Not quite a year. So
9 months, 10 months.
Yeah, about 9 months. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yep.
from the very first test of you finding out that you're half brothers with
Yep.
Mike.
Yep.
So now you find out you have a full brother. 9 months. 9 months, dude.
Well,
9 months. Wow. And in the meantime, you lost your sister.
Yep. And you got to remember, so they're not my full either because we don't share the same mom. So I technically have 2 half brothers, 2 half sisters. So I actually don't have any full siblings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just a title, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Just mind blowing.
Yeah.
But again, that they didn't know. They didn't tell me at that point who my dad was. So now I'm just like,
They just tell you Taylor.
yeah, yep, and that I have 2 half siblings, 2 other half siblings. So it was probably about another hour, and they said, "We think we got him." So I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
How are they doing this? How are they?
Yeah.
How did they do this? Did they ever tell you?
Well, yeah. I mean, what they told me was that they, and I'm gonna botch this.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
If they were watching, they laugh at me. But the way I understand was they would start running a family tree, and to them they have to be. Everything has to match up, right? So, like, they have to be a certain age at that time. So, for instance, 81, anybody obviously who would not have been old enough to be having kids would have been eliminated.
Yep.
Anybody under a certain match, things like that. But I was still just blown away by. I mean, to me, it was like magic, right? I wouldn't even begin to know where to start. So they send me a name. I send it to Mike, and Mike goes, "Oh man, I remember him." And I said, "You're joking." He said, "No, I do. I remember him." Because, Mike's 11 years older than me. And I said, "You got to be kidding me." So I tell them that, and they go, we're 99% positive he's your guy. So I was like, "Okay, what do we do now?" They said, "We're done." I said, "What do you mean you're done?" They said, "It's up to you now. You got to call him." And I'm like, "You just want me to call this guy? I don't even know him." And I'll never forget that. How do you just call somebody up? Tell them surprise, right? So I waited till I was home after work, and
This was 40 years after.
yeah, yep, 40 years after, and called the number they gave me, and he answered after the second ring, I remember, and was super nice on the phone, and I remember saying who I was, and he goes, "Oh yeah," he said, "I know who you are," and I said, "You do?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." I said,
How did this phone call go, Brian? I got to know. So, I mean, play telephone with me right now. I got to know how this phone call goes down.
Well, so he tells me, he goes, I know who your parents are.
So he says hello, and you say, hi, I'm Brian.
Yeah, I said, I'm Brian Ross.
Yep.
He said, I remember your parents. I remember you. I said, well, it's funny you said my parents. And he said, okay. He says, are they okay? And I said, yeah, they're fine. And I said, well, that's actually why I'm calling you, though. And he said, what's that? And I said, I don't know how to say it, so I'm just going to say it. I said, I'm pretty sure you're my dad. And like he just got silent. And he said, I don't think that's possible. And I said, you know me. I said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I said, and I explained why. And he said, yeah, I don't think so. And I said, okay, still super nice. And we got off the phone. I thought, that's awful, right? Like it wasn't.
Yeah, where are you at? I mean, what are you doing right now? So you're thinking,
yeah, like it didn't work. And I'm about to message back them and tell them.
He turned me down.
Yeah. And he calls right back. It's probably maybe 10 minutes.
He calls you back.
Calls me right back. And he said, he says, Brian? I said, yeah. And he starts crying. And I said, yeah. He goes, I'm your dad. And then I lose it, right? I mean, it was just.
He knew.
Well, and he was very honest. He said, you have to understand. He said, I had to go home and tell my wife I had a 40-year-old son I didn't know about. And I mean, it made sense, right? Like, before he said anything to me. So he did. He went straight home.
What a day that must have been for him.
Yeah. I mean, and he told me, he said.
You just jam-packed 9 months of your trials and tribulations into a phone call for him.
Completely. Yeah. Yep. And he said, can you come to our house tomorrow? Which I didn't expect that. And so I said, yeah. I took the day off work. You know, funny calling in for that one, right?
Yeah.
And I went. They just live in Benton County. Went to Benton County.
Half hour away.
Yeah, half hour away this whole time.
40 years.
Yeah. And the door opens. I'm scared to death. And his wife literally just grabs a hold of me and gives me the biggest hug. And
wow.
Yeah, couldn't believe it. And she said, I want you to know you're always welcome in this house. And I couldn't believe it. We talked for a little bit, and then him and I sat down in the living room and talked for hours. And just, you know, he was just excited. I mean, he was shocked, but he couldn't believe it. And he kept saying, you have my nose, you have my hair. I mean, he was just blown away. I mean, it was literally like, not a baby, but, you know, seeing your kid for the first time.
Yeah.
He just couldn't believe it. Of course, I couldn't either.
Yeah. So you sit there with him for hours. Did you go by yourself?
Went by myself. And that was part of the reason why I was nervous, right? I mean, I didn't know these people. And you don't
know like their economical climate. You don't know anything.
Nothing.
I mean, you know, you do really well. It's not like you weren't worried about that, but like you don't know, like you might be walking into a mess. You don't know.
You don't know. And I don't get me wrong, I was worried about that, right? Like I'm showing up 40 years on their, you know, I don't want anything from them other than to be.
And you don't know them, and they only live a half hour. Which, I mean, doesn't sound like much, but down here you kind of.
You know it, right?
Yeah.
And I was worried about that. I thought, are they going to think I just want something from them?
Yeah.
Outside of just a parent.
Yeah, fellowship.
You know? Yeah, fellowship, right?
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah.
So that one, when they welcomed me like they did, was just a huge relief.
Yeah. And you knew you'd found a home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I will say it was, I think about 2 weeks before he set down his two kids to tell them. And this is almost kind of funny. He invited them both to the house, told him he needed to talk to him. They thought it was bad, like he was sick, something like that. And I guess when he told them, I guess they both said, "Oh, that's it? Okay." They were relieved. They thought he was really sick or something, you know, due to his age.
Yeah.
And they immediately wanted to meet me, and they both were just amazing as well. My brother, his son walks in, and it was me in middle school, and I about fell over. I mean, look, just like
I've seen that picture. Yeah. Well, and I've since seen your Mike. Mm-hmm. And all of them have been in a picture, and I saw that the other day, and I just grinned. I was like, "Man, he's got them. You know, you got it all right there now." I mean,
truly, huge family, huge
Yep.
family, and his wife had 5 kids as well. So, really have 9 siblings. They've all welcomed me in as well. So it's just
Start saving for Christmas now.
Hey, Chubbies, how many points do you have on the McDonald's app? We all know and love the McDonald's app, and we want to thank Brad and Sarah Munn for being a great sponsor of our show and of our communities here in Jackson, Oak Hill, Wellston, and MacArthur. McDonald's, check them out.
Well, yeah, the holidays we always meet at the church because they have a big gym. That's the only place you can fit everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way you can fit everybody in the house. Family's too big. So, yeah, it just.
So adjusting wise, it's really been kind of seamless now.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, sitting down 2 kids and explaining this to them was not easy.
Your kids?
Yeah. Sorry, my kid.
Yeah.
After
Because they're Gibson's age. Well, one of them is.
Yeah, one of them is. Yeah, the other one's in high school. And when I set them down to explain it to them, of course.
They didn't lose anything.
No. And more confused,
Yeah.
How does this work? Why did this happen? Type of questions, So when they went to meet them, it was almost like an instant connection. And Ashley's parents have always been amazing to them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the best. You
You
couldn't ask for better people. So they already had 2 amazing grandparents, but then to add these other 2, it just, they're truly blessed kids, honestly, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So,
So I mean, now are you guys talking every day? I mean, you guys talk every other day, or?
It depends. It can be every day. Most, but every other though. He doesn't text. He's not a texter. So he wants to call and talk on the phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, he calls all the time.
Seems just really happy in those pictures I see. I mean, he just seems like he's extremely excited. I haven't met him yet, but he seems very, very excited to have you around.
He has. He's told me that. He's told me before. He said you literally. He said have been a blessing to me and my wife and the family. He said, and he says it probably best. He said, how could something that was so wrong turn out to be so right? And to him, he doesn't understand that, And I get that, right?
Well, you're an incredible person, dude. I mean,
appreciate
I hope I've told you that before, but I mean, you really are. So I mean, I don't know that man, but man, he got a good one with you. I mean, man, he got a hands off guy, bud. You pretty well got your own thing rocking and rolling. I mean, you were just looking for comfort.
Yeah, really. Yeah, and who I was,
Yeah.
And even the simple questions of, is there anything I need to be worried about health-wise, right? People don't think about those kind of things.
Absolutely.
And nothing worse than, again, having kids. Is there anything they need to be worried about?
Exactly.
And come to find out, he's a very healthy, almost 85-year-old. So that was nice to hear.
Yeah.
So definitely.
So, how are the kids? So the kids are adjusting to it great now. I mean,
I would almost say it's just like it's just a normal thing now. I mean, like we don't really know life without them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They spend so much time with them and talk to them that it's like they've always been there.
What about brother Mike?
So
who I don't know, but I know of him. But
so they literally just took Mike right in. Again, just another amazing thing about him. They said, well, he's not just your brother, he's ours, and he's coming with you. So they've welcomed him since day one as well. They invite him to all the holiday stuff. And
does he go?
Oh yeah, yep, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Not weird at all.
No, it's not. When you think it would be, right? Like in the situation, you think it would be, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's almost like I've always been there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even though it's only really been 2 years since I've really met them all, but it's like I've always been there. So yeah, and I recently got to meet my angel, which I think you saw on Facebook.
No.
Or
did I? Was that what the group picture was? I didn't even read it. I just saw it.
No. It was just a photo of me and her. So she was in Ohio. She was in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And this is the Kelly Grace woman. And I told her, I said, I'll drive to meet you. And I said, I want to buy your dinner. At least I could do, right?
Yeah.
And we met, went to I think it was the Golden Lamb in Lebanon.
Okay.
But amazing person, just does it again all pro bono, just to help people, just how she is.
I didn't even know places like that existed.
Didn't either. Had no clue.
It's kind of scary.
It really, I mean, what they can do, I mean, it is. And,
well, I mean, just like, I mean, you know, I know this is all worked out, but I mean, there's probably situations that don't.
The way I understood, I don't know the percentage. The way I understood was a lot of the majority don't work out the way it worked out for me.
Well, I'm saying, like, you know, you might call that guy up and he might just hang up on you.
Oh yeah. And that happens. They said, hang-ups, or don't call me again situations. They said they hear a lot. So yeah, when I told them how well, they told me, they said, your story is really unusual. As far as, okay, you're on our family now, you know, that just don't happen. So,
and you have how much money in all of this?
As far as
like your ancestry.com, your 23andMe, like I've never done any of that stuff.
So the kits are about you can get them on sale occasionally, but I think they're around $90 a piece.
Okay.
And I said I took a couple.
You're buying cases of Ancestry.com. You were weak from giving blood.
yeah, I tell you, I was. You know, I really was. Anything, right? At that point. And then I did find a company who they wanted $7,000, and they guaranteed a 70% chance. So you think about that. That's not great, right? For $7,000, and I almost did it. That's how desperate I was.
Yeah, you could have. I mean, I mean,
I was that desperate, and that it wasn't probably a few weeks after I found the DNA Angels, and I always tell them, I said, you know, can I give back to you? You know, is there any way I can help? And I have done what they call mentoring, where, and I had one for a while. So basically, they match you up with somebody who been through your situation, and you're just understanding that you're going to take their call occasionally and just talk.
Well, even this podcast would be good to send somebody and say, hey, here's my story. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, obviously you and I go way back, and I do anything, you know, but I told myself, you know, maybe somebody would be sitting in my situation where I was 3 years ago and hear this tonight and go, okay, there's my answer. Right. Like,
do you think people, I mean, like, you know, I don't think, like with me, I mean, you know, I don't know if you don't know my dad, but I mean, there's pretty well no question with me, you know. Do you think that, like, people, like, you know, you said that you knew this back in high school, and I mean, dude, I mean, literally, we went all through school together.
Sure.
And I mean, I would have never guessed this with you. Like, whenever you told me this, I just remember being like, what, dude? Like, you know, like, so, but you think that, like, it's something in you that, like, you know, and I can't speak on that. I don't.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. And I know that sounds crazy, right? But yeah, it was always there, always ignored it, always kind of pushed it down. And little did I know that voice was right. You know, it was 100% correct. And I just.
You think everybody knew?
I did find out later that there was several people on my mom's side who said, yeah, we've always known, it wasn't our place. And was kind of mind blowing. I'm like, you just couldn't have dropped a hint. I mean,
well, how do you do? I mean,
but again, exactly. And I would.
You can't blame them.
No. And I wouldn't have done it if I'd have been in their shoes either.
But they're saying, like, they knew.
Yeah. I actually had a cousin on that side who said the day they saw me at the hospital, they're like, nope. They just knew I did not look like anybody. So, which is mind blowing, right? I mean, being a baby in a hospital, knowing that,
man.
Yeah.
Huh. So, but I mean, do you have 100% of that, like, fulfillment now?
Yeah. I mean, I truly do. It's almost to the point where I'm like, I almost feel like I don't deserve it all. You know, you know, because I went from things being so awful, you know, again, to the lowest point of my life, to I couldn't ask for any more. I mean, it's literally everything I wanted.
Yeah.
And you know.
So what about, like, questioning who you are now at age 40? Like, how did this play into that? Is, like, are there some pieces now that are making sense? I mean, I know you talked about him being a talker, you know, and that, you know, boom, there's a piece to the puzzle,
Sure.
You know, but I mean, you know, what else? I mean, you know, are you thinking, like, how, you know, I'm just going back to whenever we were kids, and I mean, are you thinking that, like, that? Do you think that you would have maybe ended up a different way if you would have known? Or I mean, I'm just asking, you know.
All things I've thought of.
Yeah.
I do wonder, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I've wondered many times what would things have been like if I'd have known at a young age, if he would have been more of an influence. he was really big into coaching, coached a lot of different basketball and things like that. I mean, I may have had more interest there, right? I don't
You
know.
loved sports. You just
Yeah.
didn't play them that
Just
much.
didn't play them that much
Yeah.
because it didn't really have that person at home pushing or driving me towards it.
Yeah.
To where
I always remember that about you. You loved sports.
yep.
But you just didn't play them with us.
Nope.
But you played them with us, but not like
Not
with,
actually, yeah.
Yeah, not on the like organized team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And but I didn't know. And again, looking at my family at a young age, I'm like, well, nobody plays sports, so that was probably, and again, another reason why I wasn't, driving towards that.
Driven,
driven, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, come to find out, he had coached for so many years, so many different teams. The whole side was really big into to basketball. It's just, it made a lot of sense why I was driven that way, and a lot of people who knew him and also knew me, when they found out, said, "Oh my gosh, you two are so much alike. Just the way you talk, your mannerisms, your personalities." So that was kind of mind blowing. How are you like somebody you've never met?
Well, genetics are a powerful thing.
They truly are. They truly are, and I can attest to that.
I mean, if you can pass down things like high blood pressure and the gout and sugar and everything else, then surely you can pass your voice and your.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how all that works, but I mean,
sure,
you're living it.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, genetics are extremely powerful. Yeah, DNA's legit. I will say that.
What about your half brothers and sisters that you've met? I mean, are you sharing some similarities with them, or?
So my brother that I met, him and I definitely have a lot more similarities. We're the same height. We definitely look alike. We have a lot of the same interests. It's actually kind of crazy. He'll throw something out like a band or something like that, and I'm like, "Oh, I've always loved that band."
Yeah,
of course you do, or a movie or whatever. Both real big into watching.
How old are they?
Guys. So they're quite a bit older than me as well. They're both in their so my brother is in his late 50s and my sister is early 60s.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was truly
accident.
I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it, but it's true. Yeah, it was.
Dude, I mean, there was so much of that type of stuff though. Like, I mean, hell, it still goes on.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, that's what's scary about that Ancestry.com is, I mean, there could be so much of this that's actually.
Well, when we were babies, who would have thought, right? You could buy a little kit and spit in a tube and drop it at your mailbox and find out who you were. Yeah, it didn't exist.
And a team of free angels.
Yeah.
Would conference call you in.
Yep. From all over the U.S. and just find your dad.
And a half hour away.
Yeah. Yep. The whole time. Half hour away. Couldn't believe it. Yeah. Couldn't believe it.
Have you ever got any numbers on how many people out of how many this happens to?
I never have, but I know since those kits becoming so popular, they said it's constant. I mean, it could be daily for all I know, but they're a very busy organization, and they're just one of many, from what I understand, that people get those results and all of a sudden are just
consumed by.
Yeah, consumed. And then who am I is the next question, right?
I can't even imagine, dude. Because I mean, you were 38, and you are probably going through. I mean, at that time, your kids are just at that age where life has hit you in the face at that point. I mean, you've had to break off. You're not to break off, but I mean, you're rocking and rolling, doing your own thing.
Yep.
I think that those are the most delicate years for, let's say, a young dad or a man, not to sound like a sexist guy or anything, but I'm just going off a guy because that's what I am. But
yeah,
man, I tell you what, you're getting ready to get older. It's like you're halfway there. Okay, as far as halfway to the grave, I guess, at age 40.
Yeah.
You're kind of starting to weigh out some stuff hey, did I do, am I where I thought I'd be? Mm-hmm. Do I, and I mean, it's a very stressful time of a man's life. Those like 35 to 45, depending on how that hits you right in there. And the quicker you can get through that, it's going to hit you at some point in that time frame. But you know, if the quicker you can get over that hump, you know, the smoother it gets. But it's just, I can't imagine what you were thinking in your head, you know, and then you lose your sister. And then, I mean, so you've already got, even if life was perfect, it wouldn't have been.
No, it definitely wasn't. No.
And then, but then kind of find out, you know, a year later. So from start to finish till you walk up to the door.
Yeah.
How long was that?
So just about a year.
Just about a year.
Yep. And like I said, it was that team was literally in my pocket the whole time, checking. You know, of course, I wouldn't pull out my phone, but they were, you know, how's it going? You know, what's he like? I mean, asking all kind of. I mean, the whole time they were literally right there.
Did you show him how all this happened?
I did try to explain it to the best I could. Again, you know.
Yeah, how'd you break it to the guy?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the guy's in his 80s and he's looking at me like, you did what now on your, you know, he still carries a flip phone. He doesn't do any texting, nothing. So yeah, but he did tell me day one, he goes, he's got my face, or he got his hand on my face, and he goes, because I did tell him, I said, if you want to do a paternity test, I'm totally okay with it. And the company even offered it. And he said, I don't need one. He said, you couldn't be any more, you know, like me. He said, you look just like me. He said, I don't need one. And so he was just blown away, I guess, by our similarities.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey guys, huge thanks out there to everybody down at Geiger Brothers Construction. Those guys as a whole unit have just been wonderful for the Chubbies. We appreciate each and every one of you hardworking people out there that listens to us. And thank you, Geiger Brothers Construction, for all your project needs. Give those guys a call, 740-286-0800.
So he never
you lucked out there with that. I mean,
completely.
I mean, he lucked out with you, but I mean, to have a guy that just
Appreciate that.
To have a guy that just says, yep, nope, I'll take you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, well, and I went to one more.
Wonder what he would have done if you'd have been worthless.
Right, yeah.
Well, he seems like a good dude. He'd probably still taking you in. But, I mean, you think he'd still been around? You think he'd have got you a stocking? Or you think
And you know he had to think that, right? Like, who's this guy going to be?
Did you wash your car, put old slacks before you went? Or how'd you dress?
Well, the DNA company did tell me, they're like, no, dress nice. And I said, guys, I wear it. At that time, I wore a tie every day to work. I said, I got this. I think I'll be okay. Dude, don't show up in old clothes. I mean, they were like literally prepping me for this visit. I said,
well, yeah, because he might think that you're a druggie or
yep, anything.
Somebody, I mean, first appearances.
Sure. They're
how was he dressed?
What'd
you think?
Well, he was in a suit. And I thought, okay.
Wow.
But what I found out was the guy wears a suit almost every day. So this is just a normal day for him in a suit. He legitimately does wear a suit almost every day.
Okay.
It's just how he is. I
a lot of guys like that, yeah.
Well, and he's an older guy, but in his profession, right? I mean, he wears a suit.
Yeah.
Never know when somebody's going to stop by, I guess, in his mind. But,
or when he might have to go somewhere or something.
Yeah. So I was glad I did wear dress clothes because I would have definitely felt underdressed.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Boy, if it was me, I'd just roll up in there, a pair of mesh shorts, sweatpants, a t-shirt. I'm Pudge.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, hope you like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine how bad that could have went.
Oh yeah, it could have been way different.
What a hostile situation if you'd let it be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
You know, I mean, you've got your mom, you've got him, you've got his wife, you've got all these kids, and I mean, you know, you have nothing but bombs.
Yeah, complete. So many bombs.
Just waiting on one of them to go off.
Yeah, and I truly was. I mean, because again, I mean, what's going through my head is I potentially could ruin somebody's life.
Several,
yeah. And I just, it was hard to really make that first call. I mean, it almost sounds selfish to make that first call because what I was looking for was for me.
Yeah, because he didn't know.
Yeah, he had no, and he told me that. He said, if I would have known, he said, I would have, this would have been way different. He said, I had no idea. He said, I honestly didn't know, and I believe him. Sure. I mean, I don't have any reason not to. Mm-hmm. So yeah, totally talking about turning someone's life upside down. Because he would have been around our age when that was going on anyway. So he was in his 40s, but he told me, he said, I just had no idea at all.
Now he does.
Now he does.
And he's got all new family.
Yep, he does, and
I mean, a great one at that. I mean, so sir, you've got a good one. I'll vouch for the guy. I mean, I've known him, not since birth, but pretty close. And man, I don't know that I've ever seen you like now at that time period right there. I can honestly say, whenever you came in the office that day, you were stressed.
Yeah, I was.
You were stressed. Well, and you just lost Susie, and that's what you came in and bought life insurance.
And that's
what started it. And then you were like, hey, interesting story. I'm probably not a Ross. Kind of similar thing happened to my dad a few years ago. I found out, my dad would probably get mad if I say this, but we found out that we're actually not Gillums.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how at all, but my original grandpa, my original great grandpa was a Gilliam.
Oh, okay.
We never did have any other than just our little group. We didn't have any cousins, and now I'm kind of thinking maybe I need to do one of these ancestry.com things, and just see where we came from. But my grandpa moved up here from Pikeville, Kentucky, and changed his name from Gilliam to Gillum.
Oh, okay.
And so we just always wondered why we didn't have any family, and it's like, oh well, now my uncle Ron got into this stuff. And so he breaks it down to Dad here a couple years ago. My dad's 75 now. He'd been 73 then, but he breaks it down to him, and he's like, hey, Gary, we're not Gillums. I mean, that's a big shock, and I think, after I've learned more about that story, I think that's probably making some sense to some of us. And it's just, like I said, some holes were filled. Yep. Not that I didn't have any holes. I didn't know anybody, but I'd say definitely to Dad and those guys maybe, and especially, the level above me, they're not questioning themselves as much now, but it's crazy, man. 2023, and now you can just.
That easy. Yep. It's absolutely.
What would you do different?
Oh, that's a good question. So I'd love to tell you that I would have taken that test earlier, but I think it happened for a reason when it did.
I honestly can't believe you even took that. Like, you don't seem like that guy.
Yeah. Well, and I had put it off for so long. I mean, buying one of those, because I was a little nervous. I really, truly was.
You knew that much.
It was.
You said there was some things growing up. Like,
sure.
You said there was just some things that just jumped out at you that were just like, maybe I'm not that guy.
Yep. Oh yeah. There were several things. Yep.
Yeah,
definitely. And like I said, Mike and Susan, they were, they would always tell me, you were so wild when you were little. You wouldn't sit still, and they weren't like that at all. And, come to find out that's definitely on the other side, where when they're younger, they're more energetic.
Yeah. Your build.
Yeah,
is a main thing,
Yeah.
I remember Susie. I know who Mike is. I mean, you guys don't look anything alike.
Yeah, no, we don't at all. And people would ask that, oh, your siblings that didn't know us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're siblings. Oh, and then they'd give them that look, and I'm like, I know that look. Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, Yeah. Huh. So well, it's all worked out for the good, though.
It has, and like I said, again, I would love to think that if I took it earlier, but I don't know if things would have worked out though. I don't know if his wife would have been so welcoming 10 years ago. She might not have been, and I couldn't say I blame her.
And you might not have been a good headspace to go through all this 10 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. So I truly believe everything happened the way it happened, because it worked out so well. I can't really say that I'm upset, I guess, by it. Right.
Yeah.
Because things just felt that rough 9 months, but then boom, things just so quickly popped into place.
Huh. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. I mean, as one of your buddies, I'm tickled. You seem a lot happier.
I am. I truly am. People say it all the time. Wow, you just seem so happy.
Seem happy now, yeah. Yep. Now, I think we should celebrate by buying you a new mountain bike.
Yeah, right. I could use a new mountain.
Well, I mean, I did. I brought mine out to your house and let you ride it. You know,
I did love that bike.
I know you did. So I think I need you out there biking with me.
Yeah.
No, that's good, man. I appreciate you telling this story. I know we kind of talked about whether or not we should or not, and sure. I mean, I think that you've done a good job to kind of navigating through all this, and if anything, people that have a question can, either get a hold. Do you care if people get a hold of you?
No,
or
not at
I mean,
all.
You'll talk to them about this. I mean,
Yeah,
if
100%.
anybody knows Brian, he's the greatest guy on the planet to talk to. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're probably gonna get some messages about this.
Yeah, and if I do, that's fine. If I can help that person, love to do it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want anybody to have that feeling that I had of, just
not
knowing and not feeling like you had a resource for anything. It was a rough time. And so, anybody for sure can reach out.
Absolutely. How can just look you up on Facebook or something.
Yeah,
Brian, have you changed your name on Facebook? What is the process of changing your name as a dude at 40 years old?
So I'm actually pretty close to doing it. Thanks to Judge Skaggs.
Oh, okay. All right.
He got me the paperwork. And
another old school dude with us, you know?
Yeah, he's a great guy. Couldn't ask for a better guy. But just file it through him and go through the process. So we're actually pretty close to finally doing it. I think we're going to wait out the school year. That way, there's no confusion at the end of the year.
Okay, so now are your kids going to be tailors?
Yep, they want to be tailors. Olivia's actually been wanting to be a tailor now legally for probably, since we found out. I mean, she was like, let's do this, like, my oldest. Sophia didn't quite get it, but now she's okay with it, because, again, it's confusing when they're that young. But, yeah, changing it all.
So you're going to change it all? Ashley changed her name?
Yep, changing it all. Yep. So it'll be a big change, but
you're not just going to throw the old one away. I mean,
no.
Yeah, I mean, because shoot, that's who you've been for 40 years.
Sure, and I mean, I have a lot of family still.
Want to hyphen it?
Well, I don't know. I probably won't, honestly, but I mean, I got a lot of family on that side that I still talk to. I mean, It's not like they're not family anymore.
Yeah,
because we don't genetically match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's weird. I never thought I would be in that situation, but I'm looking forward to the change just because to me, I feel like that's who I am now, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm a tailor.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's who you are now.
Yep.
And I didn't know you was going to change the whole group.
Yeah. The girls want to do it. They actually, I think they were ready before I was.
Well, that's just a legally that is a huge undertaking.
It's huge, and it's actually a little more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, you got to get new socials. You got new social cards, right?
Yeah. Yep. Social cards, IDs,
birth certificates.
I don't know. I don't think you have to do those.
You might.
Yeah, I might have to, honestly. And I think just the process of going through the court piece, I think,
because your paternal would be wrong.
Yep. Yeah. And it is, right. So
on your birth certificate.
Yep, it is. But I think just to file in court, I think it's around $800 for the four of us. So
wow.
Yeah. Yep. So there's some cost there, but again, we're to the point in our life where we're ready for it.
Sure. Yeah. I just know, with everything nowadays with, you know this, but think of all your like online passwords.
Oh yeah.
All your names and stuff that you're going to have to update. And I mean, dude, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, and I've had the Brian Ross Gmail since I was in college, and I'm like, I'm going to have to figure that one out too. But, yeah, I'll figure out a way.
Yeah, you'll figure it out,
yeah.
But it's just, and women do it whenever they get married.
Yeah, well, that's I started kind of griping one night, and she just stared at me, and I said, I know what that looks about, yeah. So I thought I should stop.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. Well, anything else you need to tell us, bud? I appreciate the heck out of this story, man. I tell you, this is, like I said, I love you to death. We've been good friends all these years, and I'm happy you're happy. I mean, that's the main thing. I can't be more happy for you, man. I mean, you're grinning now.
Yeah.
And I mean, there for a minute you was pretty down. So
definitely.
But I appreciate you telling the story. Anything else? Who we got any shout outs or any cut downs we need to give? We gave cousin David a good cut down. We gave Jake a little scare. Yeah. Anybody else from that class? We've talked about Skaggs. Let's see who else can we shout out there. Let's see. I can't think of anybody else on there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. There was somebody your age the other day. I was thinking about the other day. You know who I'd like to see? Jonathan Hubbard.
Oh yeah, I've not seen Jonathan in years.
I've seen him since I graduated. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't even know. Does he live around here?
I think he's in Kentucky.
Yep, that sounds right.
Yep, I ran into his dad one day. I'd like, I was close with some of those guys out of your class. But some of them I just haven't seen for.
Well, and you'd have played ball with Jonathan.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. John, good ball player, man.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a good ball player.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
It's fun now that I'm, Gibson. And Sophia's a fourth grader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's a year older, Gib. But it's funny now seeing all of our kids mixing, and it takes a lot of times. I catch myself just, man, whenever I was that age, I always compare. Like whenever I was that age, here's who I was running with. Here's where my life was. Here's what was going on, and it's just, I'm sure you're doing it now with yours.
Sure. Well, and I was talking to Seth Stockmeister the other day, and we were talking about how our daughters will join middle school together, Sophia and his little girl, and it's just...
She a fourth grader?
Yeah.
Seth's youngest?
Yeah, so, generationally, it's just kind of funny that they'll also follow, because, Seth and I grew up together.
Yep.
So it's kind of... I guess that's kind of
Max.
Yep, Max same way. Yep.
Gillum. Yep.
Max Gillum. Yeah, they play sports.
You and David were pretty close.
Oh yeah, we were real close. Yeah. Definitely. And
he's a death worshiper.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody.
That's hilarious.
Death worshiper. Likes that heavy metal music. Plays in church.
It's funny because most people, they don't know that, right?
But, they think he's just a sweet guy. They don't know he goes home and headbangs.
No, they have no clue.
He loves the harder the better.
He's a good guy to have around if you got to move something. I will say.
Oh yeah. Well, now listen, we can't let it go too far. He was the size of that mic stand in high school. His chest looked like the inside of a spoon.
It did.
He just started eating. It got big.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He got real big.
He did. Yeah. I saw a picture. Him and Jody had a good picture of him on there today.
Yeah, I saw that. Good
he looked
photo.
all sunburned. I was going to comment, but I didn't have time. I was trying to get here.
I noticed he was a little burnt.
Yeah, he's a little burnt. I love giving my cousin David a hard time. Yeah, we bust on each other pretty good. He's doing well though. David's done real well. There's another guy. Didn't have his dad growing up. And he's done real well. There was a lot of you guys out of that class that really went on and did really good things, man.
Yeah.
Seth, another one. Seth's doing. Seth knows his dad, obviously, but he's killing the game. That's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life. Seth is. He's a grinder,
nonstop.
Yeah, people say whatever you want to, but that guy's a grinder. Seth's always he'll work with anybody.
Yep.
There was Johnny Mack. I saw Johnny Mack was in which you would have been close. You'd have been neighbors.
Yeah, we were neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He just played, so he'll be 42 in August.
Yep.
August
that's right.
10th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, he was a summer. I can't remember the exact date.
It's either August 5th. No, it's like August 31st or something. I can't remember his birthday. But so he'll be 42 in August. And he just played in a big tournament this weekend.
I saw that. I saw Mary
posted that. Yep. So he's doing good. And John actually is back in Ohio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's back in like Dayton or somewhere.
Yeah, because Mary came back too with Mike, right? Yep. They're all back. So
Yep. So there's a lot of those guys. I haven't seen Zito. Where's Zito?
I saw him at a football game. In the fall. Got to catch up for a few, but I don't think he lives here. I could be wrong though.
Okay.
I think he might have just been home visiting, but I might be wrong.
And I ain't seen that cat forever.
Yeah.
Brandon Sheets, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen a lot of them for a long time. But anyway, hey man, hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for telling a story. You gonna come back and see us again?
Yeah.
I want to recap. I want a part 2. Hey, how's it going? Is it all still going good? So Chad, I can't believe Chad missed it, but it's Millie's birthday. So happy birthday, Millie. Yep. Yes. And it's his mom Patty's birthday. So their birthday is both of them are tomorrow. So happy birthday, Millie and Patty. So all right, guys, thank you. Chubby's like and subscribe. Hit the follow button. We need you. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers. So hey, did I tell you we hired Jared Humphreys?
No, I didn't know that.
Yep, he's Jared is working for us out of California, so he is the one. All those you'll see him like right here on this podcast. The sponsors.
Okay.
That's where they will. Jared's the one taking care of all those guys.
That's
right
great.
Now. So,
that's great.
Yeah, we're happy to have him. So
yeah, good guy.
All right, guys, we'll talk at you soon, Chubbies. See you.